Hi, I'm going to cut a linoleum block this morning, and I'm going to do it, do the design of the Stag Man from the Hannibal Lecter series. So I've drawn my own little design on here with pencil. It's just a quick sketch, and now I want to carve it. But what is this thing? This is a mounted block. It has a thin layer of linoleum on it, and then there's the wood block of wood chips, and it's all compressed. It's about almost an inch thick. And once I carve this out, I'll be able to use it as a stamp, just as I've used this as a stamp. And see, there we go. And this also. And then there are other linoleum blocks that I've designed and cut myself as well. And I really enjoy cutting linoleum. It's a very, very meditative thing to do. So today I'm going to carve the Stag Man. So what do I do? First of all, I get one of these little blocks. This is a 2x3-inch block that I got from Jerry's Artorama in Raleigh, North Carolina. I love that store so much. And these are so inexpensive and they're fun to use. So you just draw a sketch on there, you're going to ink it out and then cut it out, and it's going to be really fun to use. Also, I have to have a linoleum gouge. You can get the regular speedball ones, but this is my favorite one. It's made by Ramelson USA. You just look them up online and you can buy a set of these. They're not inexpensive, but they're really, really worth it. This thing has cut miles and miles of design. And also, this is my the smallest V-shaped nib, and that's my favorite for making really good grooves and very tight detailed lines. You're also going to need a sharpener system. Right here is the cut routed piece of wood that you use to sharpen, and you're supposed to use this bit of, it's a sharpening compound. It's kind of gritty, but it's very, very hard, and you just basically rub it on here so that you get that some of that stuff on there, and then you just drag your tool across there and that sharpens it. And you want to keep your gouges sharp at all times, otherwise it'll really make a mess of cutting. I'm going to tell you, I've worn a groove in this thing because I also like to wipe the sides of it down in the middle. So this is probably not the right thing to do, but I do it and it's really helped me in the past, in my opinion. So we're going to keep our sharpener handy and going to get ready to carve. First of all, I want to highlight my design, and I want to be able to show, let the design show up once I have carved it. So I'm going to do the whole surface of this linoleum with some alcohol ink. This is Scratchboard's alcohol ink. It's just for Scratchboard, but it's just basically alcohol ink. You can use any kind of alcohol ink. And I mix a little bit of water in it too because it doesn't need to be full strength. I just put a little dab on a paper towel and then I wipe it down. And I like the color. I really love the blue, and that's why I chose the blue, but you can use any color you want to. Okay, so I've done that. Now put my paper towel away so it doesn't stain anything, and I'm going to close this up because I don't want that to dry out. Put that with my regular tools, and here we go. I'm using this non-skid rug mat because it will keep everything in place on my glass tabletop, and here we go. You will want to carve away from you, otherwise you could end up with death-dealing wounds. This is the gray linoleum, and it doesn't carve as quickly as the beige in my opinion, but that's okay. It's going to be fine for this stamp today. Okay, I've done that. See, I can get some really good detail in here. I'm not going exactly by the line because those were just, ideas of where I wanted the line to be. So I'm not worrying about that at all. There is a bench a table bench thing for linoleum block printing, which is a little metal plate with an angled edge, and you can put it on the edge of your table and then put your block on it, and it will prevent your block from slipping. But I just find this to be just fine. If you use the carving bench, then you don't get to move your block around. And I prefer being able to move my block around. You see how already this is coming out, and I'm liking it. With my left hand, I'm guiding the gouge at times because I'm sort of ambidextrous, and my left hand doesn't like to be left out. So it's interesting what things you'll learn about yourself when you start carving block. Also, I'm not going specifically by the actual lines that I've put on here because I like to have a little bit of roughness, a little ruggedness in my blocks. I don't like them to be absolutely perfect. So here's his little top of his head. Now we've got to get the sideburns. Going to get his ear over here. Got that bit. Now we're going to get this side. Going to get this bit. And now this side. He's starting to shape up, and I just had a huge divot right there, but I'm going to fix that because you know what? He doesn't have to have a huge fat head. There we go. All right, let me see about this. There we go. All right, now I'm going to carve the rest of his head. I at first drew a pretty thick neck, but I don't like that thick neck. Okay, here's what I did. Do not carve toward you, please. But I'm doing this in order to keep the design straight for you. Plus, I'm holding it with two hands. There we go. All right, now I'm gonna do this the correct way. Don't be too fast, or sometimes your gouge will fly off the block, and that would not be good. Okay, here we go. So we have this face here. We have the silhouette. Now we want to put a few shadow elements in here, put some hints of some highlights, and we know that his forehead would have a few highlights on there. We don't know just how prominent these highlights are going to be until we actually print them. Now I'm going to do the nose, and again it's going to be very, very primitive, and I like primitive stuff. And here we go. We want to do the eyes. Let me see, I don't like the way that went. Hold on a minute. There we go. And we want to do the mouth. And what else do I want to do? A little bit of highlight on his chest. Let me see. Okay, we need some shoulder clavicles. That's as much as I'm going to do in that. Now I want to get a bigger gouge, and here is another one also by Ramelson. See, it's a lot bigger, and I'm going to sharpen this as well because it is in need of sharpening. If you keep your blades sharp, you'll have a lot easier time with your carving. Oh, do I want to make this a Happy Valentine's Day Stag Man? Maybe so. Oh, I should really put a little heart up there. Let me see what I have. Find some kind of pen here, and I'm just gonna make a little heart up there because I love the Stag Man. So we've got to cut this out. It's all about the love. That looks good. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and gouge all of this stuff out. Okay, let's look at what we have now. I'm going to ink up this paper towel again and see what kind of design we have here. Put on a little bit of alcohol ink. And I trust the design that I have on there, but I just want to see how profound it looks by putting on some more ink. This will let me know too if there are any high spots in the block, because I don't want to have too many high spots because that'll print some things I don't want. Okay, I'm loving that. Let's go make some prints. Now that I have my design all finished, I want to print it. So what I'm going to need is some ink. This is Speedball. It's $6 for this little tube, and I'm going to use red today, bright red, because it's Valentine's Day. Then I'm going to use this tiny brayer, because if you use a wider one, it'll just get all over the place, but this one's just perfect to go on this design on this little 2x3 block. And I need some paper. This is my favorite paper. It's a very natural mulberry paper, and I'll put the link to that. It's very fibrous, and I'm choosing the ones that have more pink in them to go along with my design today. This paper comes in this beautiful envelope. Open it up and all the papers are inside, and I'll put that link down there so you can see it. Okay, I've cleaned off my area, and now I want to have a place to print these things. I'm not going to use a jig or anything like that because I don't need to line it up. I'm just going to block print these things on a piece of paper and make little cards out of them. and we were going to see how this turns out. This is some actual speedball printmaking paper. It's the highest quality. I think it's the series 400, and I'm just going to test it out on that first. So I have my block here. I'm going to lay it out like this, and I'm going to open up my ink. And what this is right here is a piece of plexiglass that came from an old frame that I got from somewhere, a junk store somewhere. I'm going to squirt just a little bit of ink on there. Put this right here, and then I'm going to put my brayer into it, and I want to thin it out. It's very, very gloppy at first. Man, that is some Dario Argento red, isn't it? It's like it screams bloody murder. There's a certain sound you like to hear when you're a block printer. You love to hear that little scritch, 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 because that means it's wet and it's tacky. It's not too thick. If it's gloppy, it won't make that sound. Okay. The worst thing you can do is put too much ink on a block, because if you do that, it might get into the cracks and it will print stuff you don't want it to print. All right, so I have this done now, and I'm going to just roll it on here. It might be that I need to carve some pieces out. We'll see if there's too much noise in there. Noise is the chatter from raised pieces up here. So, all right, let's see what we have here. I'm going to put this down on this paper. And now I'm going to turn it over and press it with a Baron. You can use a speedball Baron if you want to, but I prefer these. I have 4 different sizes of these hand-blown glass Barons. That's B-A-R-E-N, and these are made by Tom Kalos of Idaho. And he's a really awesome person and a great Baron maker. So I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to be careful not to make it slip or anything. Pull it over, and I can feel where my design is. Pressing it down with the glass Baron, going all over it. This is our first print, so I don't expect it to be perfect, but we'll see what happens. All right, let's check it out. Okay, there we go. I'm going to want to, this paper is very thick, so it's probably too much. So what I want to do though is to take out a little bit of the high spots. I keep my gouges in a piece of styrofoam like this because I don't want to go into my toolbox and get jabbed. So this way the ends are protected. And these are my 3 favorites, so I keep them in this big piece of styrofoam. It's just a piece of packing foam. All right, I think we're ready to go print again. So here we go. Let's roll out this blood red ink. Oop, got a piece of errant stuff in there. This is water-based speedball, so it's gonna dry really quickly, especially in New Mexico. Everything dries quickly because the humidity is so low. It's perfect for block printing and colored pencil. The reason for that is that you can't really put colored pencil pigment on a piece of paper that's wet, and in high humidity, that's a real problem. Okay, so there's my little man, my Stag man. Now I'm gonna get this piece of paper and I wanna make a card. I'm just gonna eyeball it because I'm gonna cut it down anyway and do it individually and create a unique card. So this piece of paper has some little leaves and things in it, and I like that a lot. So which side do I want to use? I want to use this side. So here we go. Okay. Now, one thing I really love about using this type of paper is that I want to make sure this paper doesn't get in the ink. So I love being able to use the Baron and watch the design come through the paper. You just press with the glass Baron, or any kind of Baron you have, and watch it come through. You don't want to press too hard because you could actually rip the paper, and that would be tragic. Especially this paper. It's not too expensive, but it'd be a shame to lose the section that you love so much. All right. We got a good detail coming out on that thing, so let me press down on here one more time. Okay, now let's see what we have. All right, that's freaking perfect. So I'm going to be doing some more of these. So I'm going to be making more of these, and I'm going to ink it up again using this beautiful paper. And one thing I just love so much about it is watching the ink come through the back of the paper. I love having confirmation that the design is coming through and so vividly. While I'm creating this card, I'm thinking, what kind of sentiment could I put on the inside? I'm thinking, well, it's a Valentine's greeting, right? So it's, I love you more than Hannibal loves fish cheeks, or maybe I love you more than Hannibal loves Will. That's such a pretty tall order. But I'm going to make a whole bunch more of these things.